Yeah, welcome to Theology in the Streets podcast. It's your boy, Pastor Lou, a.k.a. Late to the Game, a.k.a. the voice of reason. Gotta bring that balance back, y'all, because I've been out 2 weeks. These dudes been wildin'. For real. Yo, I got on my left
Jam Jugger, what up, everybody, man?
And right next to me,
you got your boy, Kurt Classic, back in the building, baby.
And we got a special guest today that we're going to interview. I'm going to let him introduce himself. I got on my far right.
What's going on, family? Justin Morris, Untrapped Ministries, Ark of Justice, and also social justice movement extraordinaire.
No doubt.
A.K.A. Biscuit. Yeah, so let's get right into this, man. Justin, man, it was probably about, 5 years ago, me and you were breaking bread. I think it was at the spot on Central Park. I don't remember if you remember or not, but he was opening up to me, and this was like you wanted to intervene in the streets, and you would talk about ministry, and you had these desires, and you had like this visionary desire to really influence the streets for Christ. And how did you get from having that discussion to where you're at now and what you're doing in the streets of Rochester, New York?
Man, I just acted, you know what I mean? I remember the first time I went out, my beard was a little bit bigger, right? And I was walking down the street and I had the Bible in my hand. I had this big beard with the Bible in my hand, and everybody that seen me thought I was Muslim. It was like, oh, what's good, bro? Aki. And I'm like, they thinking it's the Quran in my hand, and I'm like, nah, that's the Bible. And they like, oh, yo, and then somebody finally just said it like, yo, we don't really see people out here with the word like that. You see the Muslim brothers out here doing their thing and all of that, but we never really see, brothers from the church out here, in the slums preaching the gospel. Big ups. And, that encouraged me, just moving forward, and how the passion that I have for street ministry and just being consistent in it, you know what I mean? So, that was my first introduction. The very first day I ever decided that I was going to go evangelize the streets, they thought I was a Muslim brother because I had the big beard going on.
Yeah, that's an indictment, I think, on the church, without a doubt. That's seriously.
Yeah. Big indictment.
Yeah. So and then like that's your first experience just getting out there. But then you started getting into like more governmental realm. How'd you get into that?
Well, when I just started seeing, as I said, prior, I just said act, and then I started to see a failure to act. And then I started to see manipulation and people standing in spaces because they are black and brown, and they're advocating on behalf of the masses when they don't reflect the people that they're advocating for. So I said, you know what, it's time to start speaking truth to power. And as uncomfortable as it is, and as it was, and that is going to continue to be, it's necessary because our people need to be heard, man. Because there's decisions being made in our communities for our people that doesn't really benefit them at all. You know what I mean? If I'm in here with my Spanish brothers, but I mean, if you ride down Clinton Avenue, what's changed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They put a bunch of cosmetic stuff on, and but at the end of the day, when a woman goes out and she has on makeup, guess what she got to do at night? She got to wash that off. Cosmetic stuff don't last. We need real change in these communities, man. So I took a notice of that, and I said, you know what? I want my people to know what's going on, and stop allowing these people to pull this wool over our eyes.
So you think like, okay, so exposing. All right, can you be a little bit more specific? All right, so we're talking about, you said the cosmetics. What are some of the things officials, let's say, pass policy or whatnot? What are some of those cosmetic things that are not changing our community?
So when you talk about affordable housing, right? There's a big push for affordable housing, but if you look at the methodology in which affordable housing is being conducted in our community, we're going right back into building projects.
Yes.
You see a bunch of buildings going up with a bunch of units in them and a bunch of doors. So we all know the historical content of what housing projects got us from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, and what the requirements were, to even occupy those spaces. They're projects, affordable housing, and all the lingo around it, it puts a limit on our people because you can't make a certain amount. So guess what? You're going to be content in that area.
Right.
But also now you raise up families, and these families, they come together as they should. But then at around 14 or 15, young men start to do stuff. That's not always the best things.
No doubt.
So now out of these housing projects come gangs. And, you know, we already have a gross gang problem, as my boy Noon probably know, working with Pathways to Peace with the city of Rochester. We have a gross gang problem in our community, and I don't see how we think that attacking affordable housing and building projects is going to be conducive to what's already going downhill in our community.
Man, that's what's up, man.
Yeah.
And Jamie, you want to jump in with a question or not? I'll keep it rolling.
Yeah. Not really a question, but a statement about like Clinton Avenue.
Yeah.
Hispanic Central, really bad over there. It's been bad ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And even worse now because the heroin epidemic is getting like crazy out of hand. What would you expect the city of Rochester to do? Because it's a two-way street. They could only do so much when the people themselves, like my people, Hispanic people, I come from that place. You know, I was part of that problem of being 20-something years old, living with my parents, selling drugs, you know, having kids when I wasn't ready to have kids and not being a father to those children. That's a big problem on Clinton Avenue, especially with Puerto Ricans. You know, they got like 4 baby daddies, whole bunch of kids from a whole bunch of different baby mamas, the whole drug cycle thing, teenage pregnancy, high school dropout rate, bad schools. Isn't there a responsibility on the individual citizens of that community to also make a change?
Always. I think that's always a question that poses itself when you're talking about community reform and just wanting better for our people. I think that's always going to be a question, and it's a valuable question. But I think, you know, the saying, if people knew better, they'd do better. I think the education and with poverty being so concentrated, y'all have to understand that we're dealing with one of the worst forms of poverty in the world. You know what I mean? Outside of third world nations and things of that nature. But Rochester, New York is second in the nation in childhood poverty. Rochester, New York is second in the nation in poverty. Our congressional district is second in the nation in poverty. So when you look at a place like Clinton Avenue, which is the heart of Rochester, Clinton Avenue is in the dead smack middle of Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you look at a place like that and you take in all of the variables of what these people are going through on a daily basis, what is it that we want them to know? What is it that they can know? What's being afforded to them? When you look at proximity to fresh fruits and vegetables, we don't think that's nothing, right? Oh, you know, we can go to the corner store and grab a snack and eat on a snack. But when you think about the development of the mind and the development of the body and the development of the spirit and all of these things, we are already at a disadvantage just in our dietary practices in these type of communities. So we have to understand that it's been set up, and I'm not going to get super spooky about it, but it's been set up strategically in areas like that for people to just be totally behind the 8 ball. So our education has to come in fighting for ourselves. You know what I mean? We need fresh access to fresh fruits and vegetables. We need access to real education. We need access to real examples of how to come out of these impoverished situations, and not band-aids, like I just said, cosmetic occurrences in these communities where, you know, it looks good for a photo op, and then, you know, these people are back to their everyday lives. I rode by the we were protesting, and we were walking by the Flambos, and it was the most startling thing to me. Everybody was coming out of their homes, but I seen children hanging on the gates like this, like they were in prison.
Yeah.
And I told the news, I said, get that. They said, oh, we don't want to broadcast kids behind cages. I said, well, what the hell? They live behind those cages.
That's right.
So it dawned on me that we are imprisoned in what we call our communities.
That's right.
So this education and this uplifting of our people has to be intentional. And we can't wait on the government. We can't wait on the people that we identify as leaders to liberate our people. You know what I mean? So when that question is posed, oftentimes I say, you know, it's people like us. It's our job to go in and give our people real education and real liberation, because our government isn't going to do it. And you know, I put some of the fault on us, some of the fault on our people, but you know, I think that question is summed up in a lot of what I just said, man. The concentration of what this type of poverty looks like.
So would you agree then that it's systemic, right? Obviously, it's systemic.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's what you're kind of alluding to. Now, would you go and say that it is white supremacy systemic?
I would.
Okay, explain that.
And that's a great point, because I think in white supremacy will allow people who look like us to be in leadership, but still uphold these systemic practices. You know, everybody's running around and they're afraid of the defunding the police conversation, right? Quick disclaimer, I am not for abolishing police, but I am for, with $100 million budget, putting $30 million of that back into our community, into programming, into people that look like us, to do exactly what I just said we should do: go in and liberate our own communities. I'm not for the whole, we need to police our own community. No, we need to come up with new concepts on how to be effective in getting our people out of poverty, how to be effective in getting our people educated, and things of that nature. So, you know, what was your question again, bro?
No, what, like, so would you say then it's white supremacy, you know, a system of oppression that's going on?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So
definitely,
okay.
Definitely.
Now, see, I want to kind of throw some of the spiritual end into this as well. Because I believe there is white supremacy in this nation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it goes broader to the notion that this world belongs to Satan as well.
Oh, yes.
And so for our culture, our history as America, it will look like white supremacy. But when you look historically, it will look like whatever group or nation that's in power, they will always suppress the impoverished, the poor. Mm-hmm. And that is historically true. And so I think there's a spiritual component by here that I think as the church, and I don't know, maybe it's the separation of church and state, but our influence in government is not what it used to be. Because the reality is, if change is going to happen, I think effective change, and I think this is where BLM comes in, right? Mm-hmm. BLM really is trying to change policy. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm not saying that that's not happening from other organization entities, but the church has lost any kind of influence on transforming policy. Doesn't mean they have moments and pockets. And I know a lot of Trump advocates will say, yeah, they were there. But nevertheless, they just don't have the influence anymore that they once had. What do you say on that as far as the church having its influence in the government?
So I just talked about housing projects. If you look at all of these housing projects that's going up, where are they happening at? Right outside of churches. Whose name is on the title deed? Churches. So churches have a vested interest in what's going on in our community, so they can't speak up. So when you look at all of these opportunities that the black and brown churches are getting in our community, how dare they speak out? How dare they speak out against the injustices that's happening to people in the community? Why? Because I have an amazing opportunity right now with this local government, and why would I mess that up? You know what I mean? I'm not going to go out to say that, you know, people are getting kickbacks and different things like that. But if it looked like a duck, it quacked like a duck.
It's a duck.
Guess what? It's a duck. Yeah. Right now, if you know, our pastor said, yo, we ain't going to speak on and then all of those houses get levitated across the street and it's 100 acres of land and y'all church name on the construction site, it's like, oh, what's going on, Pastor? Like, what's up?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what's happening, and it's sad because, and when I say this, a lot of church people get nervous and they think that my statement is reflective of the whole body of Christ.
Yeah.
We're smart enough to know that what I'm saying right now isn't reflective of the whole body of Christ.
No doubt.
But the church, to a certain extent, has been brought.
They've been intertwined.
Exactly.
Okay.
It has been brought. And when you see, these assemblance of the dominant pastors in our community all form together and form these groups and speak on behalf of government. It's supposed to be a separation of church and state. Why is it that you have such a focus on exonerating people in government? Why is it that on certain Sundays, all y'all preaching the same forgiveness message that's in this circle, and y'all want us to think that it's from God?
Okay, expound on that a little bit.
So, there's a lot of, I'll just be honest about it. There's an organization of pastors who have a vested interest in making our local leaders look good.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And this assemblance of these preachers, they pretty much represent the faith-based community in Rochester, and they get people elected.
I hear what you're saying. So there's that locally, there's that intertwined religious and politics going on, and they just scratching each other back.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's heavy right there.
Yeah, it's very heavy, man. And when you when you choose to elaborate on that, with the grace of God, man, it's tough. You're gonna have some lonely days, bruh.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have some lonely. It's so much stuff that's being said about me right now, man, and it's like I'm just the ultimate rebel. My boy like people really think I'm the ultimate rebel because I speak up and I speak out against what I see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God didn't charge Jeremiah, Daniel, and all of these people in the Bible to just be silent. And I think that's what we're getting away from.
Yeah.
Who's going to watch and pray? Nobody wants to watch and pray, everybody. No more. Everybody wants to go along with normality and just be the sheep. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with being a sheep, but you can't be a sheep that's being led to the slaughter.
No doubt. Jamie, you wanted to bring something, look like. No?
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
Just a little pushback.
Jump in, man.
Not even a pushback. Just a question. Mm-hmm. Like specifically, you're talking about throwing some money into the inner city to alleviate said problems. A whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Education, food. Who's going to be responsible for this money?
And y'all remember I had this sweatsuit on one day when I interrupted the mayor's.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
right?
October last year, right?
Sweatsuit.
Was it October last year? Yeah. So.
And I said,
bro, you got me. I don't even get on Facebook no more, but that brought me to Facebook, bro.
I said, and this is what I said, big bro. I said we need to identify the most credible people in the credible spaces to be able to be at the forefront of these movements to ensure the best possible outcomes. Because I think that's seriously what it is.
Because our leaders are already evident mismanage those funds.
Exactly.
Like the mismanagement of school funds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
School funds, housing authority, city funds.
These are our leaders. So it's not good to give us $30 million.
Right.
And then have them implement the change.
Right.
So how would you go about that? And what specifically, besides education and good food sources, because that's a great point. If you're eating good, then your mind working right. If you ain't eating good, your mind ain't working right. That's a great point.
Well, I myself, I'm actually scheduled to be in Queens in 2 weeks, or 2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks, to have a conversation with Senator Sanders, not Bernie Sanders, James Sanders. He's the head of banking for the whole entire state of New York. He's on the banking commission for the whole entire state of New York. And I want to bring him our issues. We spoke here in Rochester, and I said I want to come to your turf. He identified me as somebody that our community should be investing in, and not just myself, people like myself. You know what I mean? People who want to see their communities come out of poverty. People who want to see these opportunities. So when I go to him, there's several things that I'm laying on the table in areas that I think that should be funded in our community, and that we should have credible people at the head of those finances to be able to see better outcomes, man. Why would you continue? It's like putting your money in a vending machine, right? And every item you select is sold out, but you still putting your money into the vending machine. You're feeding an empty machine.
Yeah.
And that's literally what we're doing in our community. We're feeding these resources to an empty machine that has continued to fail to represent and reflect the community.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? We have to pay attention. Our mayor right now, I'm trying so hard not to just dog her out on platforms and stuff no more, man. I really am. I really am. I seen her yesterday. She was like, oh, she does this thing like, oh, you called me. And she said that to discredit me. And I'm like, well, you didn't answer, nor did you call back. Oh, you didn't leave a message. So that's where we're at now. It's like, okay, cool. But
now, did you have a personal relationship with her?
Yeah,
we
had a great relationship, and I like to think that we still do got a relationship. But sometimes when you're in opposition to a person, you can't separate the personal relationship from the professional relationship.
No
Professionally we're at odds, but as a person, I love her. I pray for her. That's my sis.
Yeah, no doubt.
I just think it's a lot of damage there. We might need to sit down in front of a counselor, have a conversation, because it's pretty damaged. I'm always hold her accountable, and people don't understand. Those are the people that love you. You know what I mean? Why would if you my man, if you my man,
that's real.
Why would I? And I know you doing wrong. Why would I follow behind you because you got the situation all day, every day, and just be your dupe? I can't do that. Like, yo, bro, you messing up, man. Let's get this thing together.
Yeah, but that's what politics I think does, though.
Yeah,
it transforms you. I mean, you may come in idealistically, taking a position like, yo, this is who I am, but then the system itself.
Yes.
And I think there's something spiritual behind that as well. It transforms you, and you fall prey to it, and you become someone different playing the political game.
Yeah.
So
and I was slated to run for city council this year, right? It was I was supposed to be on the people's slate, and it was this divine appointment from God, so I thought. And then God just kind of brought it back to me like, yo, you're not ready. You're not ready, because guess what? The very same things you're charging them with is the very same things you're going to do if you go right now.
Ooh, yeah.
The very same things you're going to do. So that's why it's very important to separate the politician from the person sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Because the spirits that are in that realm, if you ain't prayed up and you ain't steadfast and you ain't unmovable, unshakable, and you ain't afraid to talk about the fact that you don't agree with certain things, such as man and woman and woman, you're not, so you're not going to be able to be honest and upfront in that field.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? And when I come forward, I want to be me.
Yeah.
Okay, although I don't believe in this, I'm not going to not work with you.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because these same people we talking about in these communities, they're sinners. They've fallen short of the glory of God, but that don't mean they don't deserve better. You know what I mean? That don't mean that we as the believers can't set the foundation for them to grow in Christ. You know what I mean? So I just think as in that realm, man, you got to give up so much of what you believe. So much of what you, as a Christian, as a follower of Christ, sometimes to be a politician, you have to go against your very principles of being a Christian.
Yeah. So just to throw this out there, this
conversation is great, by the way.
Yeah,
I like
no doubt.
this. I like this.
We have a Nepalese pastor. He's a missions pastor here, but he had someone that he was in connection with who wanted to run for city council as well, and he wanted to run as a Republican because they had more values that line up. And they made it clear from the mayor's office, you ain't running like that over here.
Yeah.
So they told him he had to be a registered Democrat for him to run.
Because it strengthens their slate. You know what I mean? When you have all these Democrats that's powerful and, you can show face, now you lend credibility from the Nepalese community to these black and brown people.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Right. So we have to be very intentional and watchful about how we go about certain things and who it's beneficial to.
No doubt.
If I'm African, right, and I say, oh, I'm running for same situation, I'm going to be encouraged to run as a Democrat now because I get all of you the support of the African population in the city. So it doesn't. It's away from your morality. It's away from the concepts that you believe. Because to be a Democrat in this day and time, I have to be honest with you. You have to limit your faith in God. because you can be so liberal in certain areas that you go against what Christ is speaking about. That's why a lot of times when people oppose Trump on stuff as Christians, I'm looking at them like, and I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm looking at them like, well, how are you doing that when that lines up with the word of God?
Right.
Yeah. Right. Now, and see, and this because we've moved on a liberal scale. We've moved so liberal. And just your opinion on this: can any Christian be really a Democrat?
I think
it's a hard question.
I think conservatively,
Yes.
Okay.
Conservatively, you can, and I'm a conservative. I'm a black Republican. I'm a black.
He just, yo, Jammer, Jammer's like, yeah, that's my dude right there.
But to the point that was made earlier about them telling that the Nepalese brother that he had to run as a Democrat in Rochester, you do your city a huge disservice with being a Democrat. I mean, with being a Republican.
Right.
Because of the simple fact of every election in the city of Rochester is won in the primary. In the primary, Democrats run against Democrats.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to vote for the people that you want to get in. So you got to register as a Democrat. But if I had to be honest, bro, I'm either a extreme conservative Democrat or I'm a Republican.
Yeah, but that's my point. We've lost that right
We've
there.
lost that.
And
we've
that middle ground. That middle ground is gone.
And as black and brown people, we got to understand, we were always Republican.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were always Republican.
Historically, yeah.
And if you look at the foundation of the church, it was built on those conservative principles.
No doubt.
So I want to get to when and where did this disagreement on policy happen with the mayor? Like what brought about this?
So for me, you know, and it happened for me when my brother, right, decided that he was going to run for school board. You know, and we all still worked for the city at this time. I was transitioning out because I had opened a restaurant. So I had already put in my 2 weeks before I even know that he was running for office. I had stopped working for the city for about 6 months. So he decided he was going to run for office, and he tried to do it under the premise of having integrity. And it was the worst decision that he made in his life, which kind of turned out to be the best decision that he made in his life. But what he did was he ran under the premise that he was going to do everything with integrity. So he got the endorsement from the Democratic Party, and he told them that he didn't want the endorsement because, you know, he didn't feel that he, for one, earned it and that it was given into him fair and just. You know what I mean? So he turned down the Democratic endorsement, right? And when he did that, they told him that he was being laid off from his position at the city of Rochester. And they manipulated, I'm not going to go into details as to everything, but they manipulated the position so that he couldn't get it back because remember, the city of Rochester has a union.
Right.
And then from that, you know, we started looking at this thing like, hold on, you know, working for Pathways, we always thought it was about the people. And then we realized, no, this is bigger than the people. This is about the politics.
No doubt.
So once we were exposed to the politics of this stuff 2.5 years ago, we started to say, like, yo, we got to speak out. But what happened was that narrative got twisted and tangled, and it became, oh, these are disgruntled employees.
Right.
Well, and it's funny because me and him just said that the other day. I said, if this was a situation about just being a disgruntled employee, don't you think they should have probably corrected this because it's cost them a lot of money, time, and pain?
Yeah, man.
I'm talking from that day, the clock started ticking. Look at Lovely 2.5 years ago and look at Lovely today.
Yeah.
Look at City Council 2.5 years ago. Look at City Council today.
They divided.
I mean,
right
we've
now.
stopped $16 million police stations from being built in this community.
That's crazy.
Like, listen, everything goes through the people now. You ain't about to get on City Council and vote for nothing, and the people don't know. And sometimes, literally, that's how God works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all fine and dandy until it ain't. And then now you got to navigate your way through these systems and understand, like, yo, what's really going on? What's really going on in this community? it's some dark, deceptive stuff going on in this
Wickedness,
community,
man. Wickedness. Yo, bring us down to the trending on the streets, because I want to get into the violence that's going on here in the city. So,
Yo, check it, trending on the streets with your man's Jam Jugger. Your boy Joe Biden is considering canceling student loan debt up to $50,000, according to Forbes magazine. Came out April 1st, 2021. I'm all for it.
Hey, I'm with
you must owe some loans.
Yeah, I owe a loan. My wife owe a loan. Help a brother out. Thank you, Joe.
telling you.
I'm all for it. I think that's a great idea.
At that point.
And that'll help a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
A lot of people are deep in student loan debt.
I had 72 G's. I paid mine off, though.
See, Lou quiet, because Lou's like, yo, it took 10 years to pay mine off. Why can't you pay yours off?
No, it took me 7 years.
7. Okay, my bad.
But not everybody had the mindset me and my wife had, so, you know.
You took that Christian financial course by?
Yeah, Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah,
Get
Ramsey.
it?
Not everybody feel that dude, but his steps.
I live by it.
They help me, man. They
Well,
help me
my
that.
wife lived by it. My wife is great with the finances.
Yeah, so.
I be chilling.
U.S. boosts aid to Palestinians as some in Congress cry foul. Joe Biden is big on the Palestinians being oppressed by the state of Israel. I mean, it's really bad. I mean, they got them behind a wall. They can't travel at their leisure.
Yeah, we don't get to hear that, man.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yo,
It is very important to who we are as believers.
For
too.
real.
What's
Yeah.
going
For
on
real.
over there in Israel with the
Yeah.
Palestinians.
Oh, yeah. They can shut down the water and gas whenever they want, the lights whenever they want.
It's easy to be pro-Israel because of, you know, historically, but what they doing to the Palestinians, man, like I seen a documentary, bro, it's some shady, unjust stuff, bro.
It's pretty bad, man.
Some old bull jive.
Yo, it's serious, man. It's like, yo, I would be upset.
Oh, yeah. There's some Israeli supremacy
Literally,
going on
a
over
wall will building walls, bringing your house down, dividing your family, building this wall up. You got a brother on one side of the wall and you on the other side of the wall.
We got to get the right
Crazy.
occupants in Israel.
there. Yes, sir.
You got foreigners occupying false space in Israel.
Don't
That's
get
how it
Kurt
is, bro.
started on
That's
that.
how it is,
Kurt,
bro.
Kurt go in all day
how
on
it is,
that.
bro.
Holy moly. Be careful, Kurt. We're going to cancel on this joint.
That's a whole nother show.
Last but not last, man. Last but not least, Utah governor signs bill requiring fathers to pay half of pregnancy costs.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah.
what?
Utah governor signs a bill requiring fathers to pay half of the cost of pregnancy.
I think that actually makes sense, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense, bro.
So if I knock
Think
up
about
old
that.
girl, we
Whoa,
not
whoa,
married.
whoa, whoa.
We
Look at
not
little
married.
face.
Whoa. Nah, I got a big problem with that. Nah.
Here we
my
go.
money, my choice. Yo, if they got your body, what is it? My body, my choice? Then my money, my choice. Nah, y'all can miss me with that. That's some old bull jive. Nah.
Dude did it, yo.
It costs money, man, for them girls that are pregnant, man. Hospital
Listen, it's my
bills.
baby. I cover the
never
whole
It's
cost.
gonna cost me money for the rest of my
And
life,
she
bro.
my wife.
Like, nah, man.
Hold on,
Nah.
she your wife,
So
If she wife,
no.
then you ain't even got that. That
ain't no
even
problem,
Not if
right?
she's your wife.
If she wifey,
but it's just a baby.
Oh, if
yeah.
she's
But
your
she just-
hold on.
she
So
just
this is not if she's your wife. This is
Right.
if she's your girlfriend.
Right.
Or even if you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
one night stand, one night
if
stand.
she your wife, that we together, of course, right?
Yo, but what
Yeah,
if
it
she
don't
was?
apply to
What if she
wives.
was?
That's
What if
you.
she was rocking like 3 dudes in one,
That's
one
what-
night? So,
I
you
ain't
know,
that one,
like
man.
who's the dude? Like, you know what I mean?
Come on, man.
I mean, once it's determined,
Right.
I mean,
But the
I feel
hospitals is like, yo, pay me,
Right.
Because whoever's on that birth certificate is about to get the bill. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's something to look into. I
Yeah,
think
that's interesting.
Yeah, that's something
That's
to look
interesting,
into.
man.
It is interesting.
All
That's
right, yo,
something to really look into.
That's all I got for you guys. I totally agree with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you knock up
Yo,
a girl,
listen,
she's
listen.
pregnant, and she can prove it's yours. They also said something about blood tests. If
Yeah.
after the blood test,
Okay, the DNA
it's not
and
your
everything.
child, you get your money back.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
what I'm saying?
okay,
Oh, no,
okay,
but they gonna get you there, your money.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay. I could vote with that.
It's
I
a
could
blood
vote with
test
that. I could
required.
vote with that.
So-
Yo,
I could vote
also
with that.
too, man. Listen, man.
Now is that liberal or conservative?
Utah governor is
I think he's conservative, right? I could have sworn that's Republican.
Utah conservative.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I
very
think- yeah,
conservative.
they very
Yeah, we ain't
conservative.
even gotta look that up.
Yeah, bro,
Utah
That's
talk
all.
about-
Ain't is there a Democrat over there? Even the Democrats like, I'm a Republican.
yeah, Republican. You guys are right.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, yo. Also too, man. You forgot to put it out there, man. DMX done passed away, man.
Man,
you know what
rest
I
in
mean?
peace to the big DMX.
Bro, he had hits, man. He had joints, Rough Riders, man. Yo, I was listening to some stuff the other day. I was like, yo, he had some bangers, man. I was like, it's been so long. Yo, and I also heard this too about X's. His first 3 albums kept Def Jam's afloat.
Oh yeah,
Like, he was pushing so many sales that even when Jay-Z dropped or Ja Rule dropped, like they wasn't pushing the numbers that he was pushing.
He's in the record book, stuff that'll never be duplicated. The dude had 2 platinum albums in 1 year. You don't do that.
Crazy.
You don't do that. You don't sell over 100 million copies twice in a year. That's crazy.
Crazy.
That's unheard of. And I think people don't even know the influence that he had overseas.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like a lot of these artists, people don't know, like overseas, who they are.
It's a whole different,
they're gods over there. You know
it's
what
a
I
whole
mean?
different world over there. Yeah.
You know what's crazy though, is with all of that, look where he at now.
Yeah, and that's a whole.
Y'all know
nother-
I was gonna go there.
Yeah,
Man. Come on, man.
no.
What do you mean, dead?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no
Bruh.
doubt. Everybody gonna die,
Yeah, we
bro.
all gonna die.
Now, are you talking about heaven and hell though?
No, I don't know that situation.
Oh, okay,
Whatever,
right,
whatever
right,
that
right.
you know, that's between him and God. I have no clue. I wasn't there. But based on his lifestyle, you can see like, yo, this ain't looking good. I can tell you that from his lifestyle.
No doubt.
It ain't looking good. Now, what happened in his last moments or whatnot, you know.
Well, he was an
I'm not
addict.
the-
man.
not
He
the
struggled
judge.
with addiction, and
Right.
and I think his primary choice of addiction was crack, and crack messes with your heart, bro.
Yeah.
And I just say that from experience. My mom's a crack addict, and she's had issues with her heart.
Yeah,
You know, that crack mess your heart up, bro. It's cocaine. It just
He had some strong testimonies, though.
Yeah,
man.
He did.
bro,
He did.
amazing
Without a doubt.
testimonies, amazing prayers, and even the testimony of how he became an addict. It wasn't by choice. You know what I mean? Somebody put something in his weed.
Yeah.
And you know, with these drugs, man, once you get it, you know, it don't matter how you got it, it's gonna be hard to kick it. That's why it's very important,
Brutal,
like with
man.
pain medicine and different stuff like that.
Brutal, man.
We got to be very intentional about how we move with that stuff,
Yep,
man. Because
So that's a great segue to what's going on in our city.
No doubt.
okay,
All right,
mm-hmm,
we dealing with the drug epidemic
mm-hmm,
and violence in our city.
mm-hmm.
So, what's Biscuit doing, and what's the movement that you're involved with? What you know what I'm saying? What's y'all aim? What's y'all goal? What are we protesting? What are we let's say what are we for?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Things like that. You know, give us a backdrop of what's going on in our city.
So as far as, so let me just say this. I'm fighting everything that's going on in our community with economic justice. I think that it's very important to educate our people on economic justice and what economic justice looks like. It's basically what we've been talking about the whole show, is just putting our people in position to be gainfully employed and different things of that nature. But I think the violence in our community is a manifestation of failed government. And that's not to put the blame totally on government, but it baffles me to continue to hear, oh, you know, you guys, because I'm on both sides of the spectrum. I protest police and I protest violence.
Right.
So it's like, why are you protesting the police when we need more police? Do we really need more police if they can't stop what's happening right now? And I think people have to look at that a cop's job isn't just to respond. Their job is to prevent. And in the air, they're great at responding,
Right,
and
not
it's
good at
shaky there
preventing.
too.
Right,
but
right.
in the area of prevention and intervention, they're horrible. Their track record is absolutely deplorable. So we have to understand as a people, why do we continue to fund something that's not working? So in the area of response, great. But in the area of prevention, how are we going to stop violence in our community? And we have to start having a real conversation about that.
So-
because going out and marching and going out and
that don't work.
Yeah, and even the
tried that for
prayers
years.
and the different things of that nature. No, we have to show up and be intentional about what we're doing. Just yesterday, I went over and did a fish fry for the young man's family that got killed. Me and my man Anthony Hall, we went over and did a fish fry yesterday. Shout out to Anthony Hall. We went over and did a fish fry yesterday for the family on Meade Street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, while we're out there frying the fish, chilling, everybody's having a good time, somebody gets shot and stabbed.
Oh man.
Somebody gets shot and stabbed right there. It's not, around the corner. No. They're putting up the yellow tape while we're still enjoying ourselves right there doing the fish fry for the family and everything. And violence in our community has to be treated as what it is. It's a disease. It's a plague. And it requires surgical attention. It doesn't require a Band-Aid. You cannot put a bandage on a gaping wound. If I shoot you in your chest, big bro, and then try to fix you, no, you need stitches, staples.
Yeah.
You need to get it packed out. You need surgical attention. You need rewiring. But if I come over and put a Band-Aid on you, eventually you're going to bleed out. And that's what we're seeing in our community. And matter of fact, there's a book called Bleeding Out. And it talks about all of these different things and all of the different methodologies that exist in different things in communities around the nation. Some of the most devastated communities of violence around the nation. But we have to get bold people to stand up and say, I'm going to attack this. I'm going to attack it head on. You know what I mean? I am not the solution. But God is going to use me to create a team of people that have some answers. One of the things that I'm looking to do also is I call it the Talented 10. This is going to be a yearly program that I implement in our community where I identify 10 players. I'm not talking about somebody that's just standing out there not doing nothing. I'm talking about the ones that the Negroes on the block looking up to. This is the man. Let's get him gainfully employed.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he's a leader. And you know what happens if he got $14,000, $13,000 he making a week? He's not going to have time to go stand on the corner. Why? Because he's gainfully employed. He can take care of his family. It's not going to say he ain't going to bust his little 1-2 step or whatever, but he's not going to be all in.
Right.
And eventually it's going to fall off. But what that does is now the 10 behind him, they see that. Like, yo, big bro getting it together, man. Yo, where you work at, bro? Yo, I'm doing asbestos. Yo, my checks be like $1,600, $1,700 a week. Word. Holla at your boss for me. All right, I'll get you in there, see what I could do. Or holla at my man Justin. Holla at my man Biscuit. He got a whole team of people that's doing this, da-da-da-da-da. All right, I'm going to do that. So now we can start to see subtle change.
Well, let me dig deeper at this,
Go ahead.
though, Justin, because I think we have a family issue here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in Rochester, I think it's over 70% of our black women are having children out of wedlock. Man.
Mm-hmm.
No fathers in the building. You see what I'm saying? And that, to me, is a major issue for society.
Yes,
because
sir.
a society
Yes, sir.
is
Yes,
the
sir.
heartbeat of what the family is. And right now, the family is shattered in Rochester.
Right. So check this out. You said a divine word, and I think God spoke to you when you said that word, building, right? Remember, this whole problem all started when we first started building these buildings and putting families in them, because the requirement was that you couldn't have a marital household.
See?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't have a marital household when Cabrini Green went up in Chicago and was the most innovative housing project of in the world at that time. The mayor of Chicago lived in Cabrini Green. Cabrini Green, if y'all don't know, is one of the most famous projects in the world. It's where Candyman was shot at. It's where all of the violence was going on in Chicago. It's a historic project because it's an American story. It started off as the most innovative thing in the world, and what it did to the Chicago community, they are still recovering from it to this day. But it's by design, and we're trying to recover from it now. It's by design that the black and brown man was taken out of the household.
Yeah.
A college, I forget the college name, they did an experiment. They had a family of dogs, and they took the dogs and they raised the dogs up. It was 2 studies. It was a group of dogs with the father figure, and it was a group of dogs without the father figure. The group of dogs without the father figure were more likely to rebel against the mother, to use the bathroom like the mother if they were the other species, not species, but the other sex, just mimic the behaviors of the mother. And overall, just it was, and I'm not, in quick disclaimer, I'm not saying that women are incapable, because they're doing it. And they're doing it a great job at doing it. But what they noticed from the study is that the household was a bit more dysfunctional when that father figure wasn't present.
Yeah.
And then the group of dogs that had the father figure and that had the mother figure, they did much better than the other study. So this isn't by happen chance. This is by design that we're in the position that we're in. And we have to understand that it's intentional, because make no mistake about this is earth where we live. This realm is Satan's kingdom.
No doubt.
Right.
He is the prince of this. The word even went on to call, he's the God of this world. So in his structure of what the family should look like, it's thriving right now. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand that concept gets carried over by government. It gets carried over by us. And then we become so desensitized to it that now it's normal. It's normal for black and brown people to grow up in single parent households. Look at the statistic you just gave on that. So it's normal, and it's dysfunctional. And
so,
we go ahead.
So how do we, to piggyback on what Gemma was saying earlier, how do we take individual accountability in this? Or is this solely just a systemic issue, and the only way that we're going to fix it is through the system? Well,
real quick, I think a step in that direction is charging these Negroes when they want to have these babies. Hey, so now that's saying let's go half on a baby. No, that's a real thing now.
That's true.
Yo,
wow. What you got on my baby?
So right. That's super dope to me. I'm gonna go look that one up. But man, to your point, man, I think that is we have to be innovative and start doing new things. We can't keep doing the same thing. We can't keep giving all of the resources to the government to liberate us.
Right.
We have to step up and occupy these spaces. We have to see something in ourselves greater than what other people see in us, and what our purpose is. We have to start registering what our purpose is and what God wants us to do.
We need more men to inspire.
Right.
Because
I agree with that, Luke.
So what I mean by that is if you come from a generational group of young men or fatherless homes, right? Mm-hmm. That's just being carried on. Boom, boom, boom. Let's say you have a young man that aspires, I'm going to be a good dad one day. Mm-hmm. However, he has no example. He needs the right people around him to show him and teach him. And we don't have even that, is what I'm saying. We're missing even that right there. Those guys that are willing to come along and inspire them. And I think this is where it leads to gang lifestyle. Because they find dudes that appeal to their carnal nature. This looks good to me. This feels like family to me. And I do whatever I want pleasure-wise, and I get along, I get ahead. But we know that's not the answer. All it leads to death or incarceration. Are there enough men out there who can come out and inspire younger men and teach them and show them? And I know there's mentoring programs. I know there's things out there. I'm just putting it out there. We just need more men to inspire. I don't know if there's an actual bond, because this is still Satan's world, as you already mentioned.
I think
is that something you would offer in some kind of program that you would bring about?
Most definitely. I think that's who I am. I think we not only need more men, we need more bold men. Because I know one of the things, looking at these brothers in here, if I could turn the camera on this brother right here, he's a big brother in stature. So I know the soft concept of Jesus didn't attract him to the gospel.
Facts.
Right.
I think all of us in this room were attracted to the boldness of Christ. You know what I mean? And I think if more men step up and be bold, people don't follow me in the community because I'm passive. They love, like, hold on, how can this be connected to Christ? I want to know more. How can this boldness and this unrelentless fear to speak truth to power be connected to Christ? I want to know.
Yeah, because you got the audacity.
Right.
You know
and I
saying?
think that's who Jesus was. When we look at who Jesus was in the Bible.
He cut across all grains.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So you said something about, we need programs and we need people to step up, so on and so forth. My question would be, understanding that we're talking about a broken system because as believers, or as all brothers in Christ, we believe that this system is being governed by a power that we don't see, right? Which we would call Satan. So then, are we really doing ourselves a service when we're turning to that system to solve an issue that we've all sat here and said that it's not solely just carnal, if you will. There's a spiritual nature behind this. Right. So then how do we then, as men of God, turn around and then look to Satan's system and say, fix my problem? Yeah,
well, everything I've said has been against the system. In the beginning, when I introduced myself, I talked about Untrapped Ministries. Untrapped Ministries is my street ministry. And my objective is to get Untrapped Ministries funded so that we can run these programs that I speak of through a God-first, God-head ministry. Because without it, guess what? Like you said, we're going to continue to fall into the same exact situations.
Yeah. So that's my point.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's still going to the system to get the funding. So here's my question, or maybe a statement, whatever, however you want to characterize it. Why not, if we solely sold out, put your money where your mouth is? We don't need the government. Forget the government. We don't want your handout. We don't want your funding.
Right.
Pump that. We making money. I need my brothers to get with me. So we're gonna establish our own, and we're gonna fund it ourselves with our own hard-earned money, and we set up how this thing's gonna be done.
Right. So no. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying we gotta go to the government.
Privately funded.
Privately funded. The Ark of Justice that I'm the president of, the chapter here in Rochester. We don't take government money. Because we speak out against some tough stuff, so we don't even want y'all money. We're privately funded by philanthropists and different things of that nature. We go out and get private, independent funding, and that's the same concept for Untrapped Ministries. We want all our funding to be independent of having to uphold political guidelines and different things like that. Now, if it's a grant that comes out that's beneficial to be able to push forward the agenda that I would like to see in my community. Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have my person. Yeah, I'm gonna have my person go write up that grant to get that money.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. But what you said before though, like the church is handcuffing itself. So you got to have people like you or people who are thinking outside of the box of the four walls of the church, and we need more individuals like that.
Right.
And how do you? Is it just like, do we just say God rose a man up, or can you get clusters of men like this to come and start spreading them out? What do you think?
I think just even how I just ended up in this room, and I was and I don't think y'all peeped it, but I was intentionally quiet while y'all was talking, and I said, "Oh, these my type of men." Just off the little segment of conversation that y'all was having, that's how I think.
Yeah.
That's who I am as a believer. I don't. Oh, you're not gonna just tell me to celebrate. I'm not gonna get y'all back into your conversation. But yeah, I'm that type of man,
No
and
doubt.
I think we gravitate to each other. You know what I mean, Lou? It's not a coincidence that me and you had a relationship years ago. You know what I mean? And then when you just brought up the whole Central, I'm like, oh yeah, we did do that. You know what I mean? And we was kicking it.
Yeah.
I was so passionate about me and married back then. He was just kicking it with me about being a married man. I think we gravitate, and I think when time is correct, we reconvene in spaces like this to have these conversations.
No doubt.
But
Right.
now these conversations can't be abstract. You know what I mean? This stuff has to get done.
Exactly.
Look, we talked then about me being married.
Yeah.
We meet each other in this room 4 years later. I'm married. So that seed that was planted,
Praise God.
although we may not see it being watered or no. We may not see it sprout because it was watered. Doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
No
You know
doubt.
what I mean?
No
So
doubt.
now that we're back in this room having this conversation, okay, off air, Justin, like, yo, this what you got going on? Let's link back up. Let's have a meeting. How can we help? How can we assist? Or how can you assist us in what we trying to do and building a powerful unit surrounding this? You know what I mean? I think it can happen, bro. I think we're in the quiet, as loud as it is. I think we're in the quiet before the storm, because I do see our people getting ready to start waking up regarding certain issues.
Yeah.
I believe that. I believe.
I got
that.
a question for you,
What's
man.
that?
How do you, with what you got going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you kind of like in the early stages, right? With a lot of the movements and the programs that you're a part of, kind of in like the early stages.
Yeah. Monetarily, the early stages. You know what I mean?
So how do you keep yourself from
Meaning
becoming
I'm broke.
groups like, let's say, the Black Panther, right? The Black Panther movement.
You said from becoming?
Yeah. Meaning
Keeping yourself from becoming.
keeping
yeah.
yourself
So
from
now
becoming
I'm gonna
that.
say this.
Let me finish because
Okay.
there's a second part to that. So you keep yourself from becoming like the Black Panther movement, because remember the Black Panther movement was set up to do similar to what you're talking about, where it's basically we taking care of us. We don't really need government. We take care of us. Just having that stance back then, we see how that quickly, got shifted to be, oh, this is a black extremist group. Gets labeled a terrorist group, right? And other organizations similar got the same treatment. So how are you now? Because some people might say, yo, how are we gonna do this? You know what I'm saying? If every time we try to come together, this is what happens.
Right.
So how do you plan on attacking that?
I think being able to articulate who you are and what you want to do, because I actually have a meeting with the federal government in regards to, what you just said. I was looked at as a domestic terrorist for a while.
That's what. Okay.
And guess what? They had to call me and apologize. You're not a domestic terrorist. You're somebody we want to work with. Not to be a snitch or anything crazy like that, but to build bridges for your people and your community.
Right.
We have to make sure that we're articulating ourselves from a standpoint that people understand. I'm a big black man. I got to be intentional about how I speak. Because if it's just bronze and it doesn't come with any intellectual capabilities of reaching other audiences,
No doubt.
then guess what? I'm just a big angry black man.
Yeah.
Right.
Like in that news conference that I interrupted with Lovely, nobody knew that I was an intellectual.
Yeah.
They all thought that I was just this crazy man because I was screaming because I didn't have a microphone.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
people
the
didn't
mic.
understand.
But anybody who knew you,
Right.
like,
They
yo,
know that I'm an intellectual.
That's what is crazy.
I didn't know him. I was like, yo, dude came on the street. He was probably drunk. Talking drunk to Lovely One. I never forget that. I'm like, dude, damn. He had a point,
No,
though.
he came over there with some sandals,
Yeah.
socks up
Yeah.
over his joint. I'm like, yo, what the world? No, but you make a big.
was
That's a
amazing. I
major
love that,
point you
bro.
say there, Biscuit.
Yeah.
Like that's a major point of articulating and communicating clearly what you need to say concerning the topics you're talking. That's important right there
Right.
because not everybody can do that.
Because you will get labeled, Fred Hammond. I am a revolutionary.
Yeah.
brother, I am a revolutionary, but also in addition to me being a revolutionary, I'm going to articulate my points for my people.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That's
No.
the least of my services that I can do is to make sure that these people understand that, yo, listen, I'm not trying to go blow up this building. Nah,
Right.
I'm trying to work to see a better community. That's why in the beginning of this, I said I'm not with abolishing the police.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I know at some point as an activist, I have to sit down and I have to come up with strategic manners in which, our community can be policed.
Yo, I got a
and
question
effective.
here from a viewer question on crime. It says here, there were a total of 51 homicides in 2020.
Dang.
Why is it there the appearance that activist groups don't protest as hard or as consistently when black-on-black crimes occur as they do when police brutality occurs?
I would encourage them to hang with me for a week and see if those homicides aren't being protested against and speaking out against.
Just don't get no light.
They don't get no light. And I can assure you that sometimes just as many people that show up for a Black Lives Matter rally show up in regards to some of these speak outs against homicide. We got to understand that it's 51 homicides. It takes
sad,
7 days to plan a funeral. Let's say on average, right? So out of 51 homicides, 7 days to plan a funeral. Every day our city is in crisis. Every day.
Yeah.
You have the initial incidents, you have the response, and you have all of this stuff, the trauma, you have the hospital portion, you have every day our community is in crisis. You're not going to see somebody out speaking out against all of these different things every different day, but I can assure you that there's people tirelessly, relentlessly doing that work.
No doubt.
Doing that work.
doubt.
So it is being said, and you have to understand that media outlets, white media outlets, have a vested interest in not showing you all that.
I feel you.
I just said yesterday,
Part of the system, right?
I got up at 8:00 in the morning to go get fish. We didn't get done, and I didn't get back into my house until 11 p.m. at night. And somebody got shot in front of us. You know what I mean? So this work is being done. It's absolutely being done. I just encourage people, man, to just go follow my page. You know what I mean? Or follow, and I'll point you in the area of some other activists who are doing that work.
All right, so we about to wrap this up. Matter of fact, give us your socials right now. Just drop everything so everybody listening they could follow you, however they can connect with you and go from there.
First is I have Facebook, which is Justin Morris, Justin Morris, Morris. And I just put up a video today. You're going to see a white man stealing my package off my front porch. So it's not just black people committing crimes in the hood. It's white folks coming in and committing crimes in our hood too. And that's why I tell people, be careful when you say black on black violence, because we don't know if it's black on black with the rate that crimes are being solved in our community. But Justin Morris on Facebook, Justin B. Morris on Instagram. And that's pretty much it. I don't have a vast social media. I actually just deleted all my social medias and remade them. So
all right, you got your personal ministry, your street ministry. What's that called again?
Untrapped Ministries.
Untrapped Ministries.
Yep.
You are right now the president of what?
The Arc of Justice, Rochester, New York, civil rights organization based out of New York City. It comes out of Al Sharpton's National Action Network. My leader worked side by side with Al Sharpton for 26 years. Reverend Kirsten John Foy is the leader of my organization.
Okay.
And also, if I could say this real quick, we just took the Daniel Prude family out to Minnesota. And we did some national media with them. They missed one day of media, which is cool. But we did some national news conferences and different things to bring light on what's happening here in Rochester. We took Eric Gardner's mother out there with us as well. We just had her recently come here and call for a federal monitor over RPD in front of the federal building downtown. So we making some moves here in this community, the Arc of Justice.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. All right, listen, TATS Nation, make sure y'all keep up Justin Morris in prayer and also all that he's doing. TATS Nation, man, keep riding. TATS School gonna keep driving. We out.
See ya.